Alright folks, we are happily standing by on Sunday morning coffee, right? Right, okay. Let's hit the bullet points. We're going to zoom through this. I actually recorded this. It was fucking way long, so we're not going to dick around. Shop happenings are simple. Little Joe, he's coming along smashingly. You're going to see him in some footage coming up. I am getting to the footage on the reel, and we'll get caught back up to current. And we've had folks that have come and gone since I've last got my footage all figured out up where it needs to be. So there's that. The Daryl, he is in a pre-apprentice holding pattern right now. If he can manage to, well, manage his time, his attitude, and his performance, he can move up to something of an apprentice, I reckon. I try not to waste good-hearted, honest people. So that's why he's there, why he's doing what he's doing. We progress at the metered phases I want. We're going to need someone that simply organizes, sweeps, cleans, cleans off parts, cleans up parts, that type of shit. We're going to need someone at least part-time for that, and that's where he's at right now. Over the last few weeks, I've actually had to let go a lot of shit, a lot of work, just a lot of things. We went out and did a tear out for a restaurant, for a customer for a restaurant. There you go. And we had a bunch of stainless. It was an armpit job, worst fucking job I've done in years. It was construction oriented, so I knew better. I shouldn't even have touched it. The money made up payroll, which that was due to derailment with labor in the shop. It's its own problems. That's working on the shop, on the business, and we'll get back to that. Yeah, it turned into, this was one of the people I would go to as a counsel for business items, issues, addendums, whatever. And I was supposed to go in. I went three times to measure up this venting for the hood, the stainless steel hood for the kitchen. And he's like, okay, well, what's the price? So I give him a price. Oh, no, that won't do. We haggle it out. We agree upon a price, right? Right, okay. Now he's like, oh, well, these guys pay pretty good, so it's not even his money. They pay within 10 days. Well, that's unacceptable for me in my position in my line. If I were in construction, totally legit. For my line, not legit, not straight whatsoever. What about materials deposit? Oh no, you're gonna have money out there too. So what you're telling me is I gotta wait 2 weeks and put up my own money to go out of the shop and make $1,000. Once it's all said and done, I'll make less than $1,000 to go out of the shop for a day and a half. Nope. I just, at that point, instead of getting into the fight, getting into the argument, whatever, I quit. I didn't take the bait. How's that? I've done this before. I wound up not getting paid at all. So I was out all the effort, out all the supplies, just fucked. The workers, like I said, they're coming along fairly well. We've positioned ourselves somehow in this three-way feud with neighbors, the county, and the property owner. That really bites. I cannot, it's really frustrating because we're pretty well within bounds as far as rules, regulations, everything else. We're pretty well within bounds. I know there's some things I got to tweak, some final red tape to cut, and we move forward. And that was my goal for the summer anyhow, is to cut that final red tape. And that way I can move into other areas that I don't right now because of regs. So at this point, I got these people coming down harassing me because I'm the one on premises over a feud that's between the county, a neighbor, and the property owner. So I'm going to spend today afternoon and tomorrow, and I'm actually going to educate myself on what my rights are, what laws of regulatory commission intervene on my behalf and their behalf. Where are my rights, rules, and responsibilities? And then I'm going to go down there with that information and deal with them. If you do this, if this is what you have to do, don't go in there with, well, the law says. Go down there. We don't live in a land of constitutional law anymore. So you can take that and throw it right the fuck out the window. Because I was infringed upon in my private dealings. I can wave it around. I could probably go after a job over that, but it's not going to happen. Anyhow, make sure you have the statute. We live in a land of statutory law. You have a statute and you have the case that backs that statute. If you have those two things, statute number, blah, 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 case, Smith versus County, whatever the fuck it is, Johnson versus Polk, Johnson versus Lynn County, doesn't matter. You have to have a statute, number, and the case that backs the statute. Those right there are surefire ways to piss them the fuck off. And they'll probably back down at that point to some extent. They're gonna really pull out the magnifying glass at this juncture. So it's gonna get interesting. We got some quick scrub and shoot Earl Shive type work coming in. I'm getting on the horse and I'm at least gonna get a video out every week, which is really substandard because I got probably 2 or 3 videos worth of footage I'm taking a week. I'm gonna work hard at organizing. We got Sunday morning coffee. I'm going to pick another day and what's going on around the shop. I'll pick another day and go, this is kind of my anti-how-to. This is how I do things. I'm going to really work hard at not putting up a this is how you do it video. There's folks out there that have been doing this a long time, longer than me, that know better, that are well versed. I'm going to put up my take on the situation. And it's as much to show people how I do things and how they might go about it on their own as to draw feedback. I don't even listen to the negative cunts trying to down talk anybody because I don't see them putting videos up. But you guys out there that are solid, that are like, hey, this is how I deal with it, I listen. This is always evolving and growing. I've got a video coming up with operating procedures, and there's a little bit of metal work, a little bit of body work, but it was a good, well-rounded job to be able to do this with. Past that, we're just kind of mashing along. I'm probably going to have a new kid starting next Tuesday. And what's going to happen is he'll come in a couple days a week. We need to get production up. How everything's scheduled, pay schedule, everything else. I need someone in there. If I can get someone in there for 2 weeks and we're measuring up, we got zero worries. But I got 5,000 feet and I need to utilize every square inch of that. Most of what we do there, quite frankly, is clean up and assembly. That's 99% of our work. That's 99% of any shop's work. So that being said, I need someone that can do tear down, clean up, and assembly. So we're gonna try out a new kid part-time, see how it works. But I've got to start building this team. And Joe's come along well. I put him with a bounty in front of his face and said, get that truck done. I got an F-150, 66 F-150 we're working on. We got the 711. We've got I got a Mercedes. I got to get a wiring diagram. We got it all ready to fire, and it's set long enough that I'm concerned of the wiring because there's nothing. There's no turning over. So we're gonna figure that out. Corroded connection, broken wire, chewed through wire. Who knows? So that's where we're at. I just kind of wanted to storm in here and just plow through all the subject matter. Another one that's kind of bitching going on is I dig what Greg's up to. Go check him out. Greg's Garage, Greg Porter, and he's doing people in your neighborhood, and he's interviewing all the tubers, and it gets you a chance to kind of check those guys out. Takes the microscope off of them specifically and kind of spins it. And you get to know these folks a little better. I think it's cool as hell what Greg is doing, what he's accomplishing. Greg's a man of no small accomplishment through the garage anyhow. So there's a widening circle of guys I have a great respect for. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I've just been working my ass off. I'm not putting 80, 70, 90 hours in a week. I'm putting in good solid days, good solid hours, and we're just plowing through, getting in what we can. I have family obligations, so I'm not going to be there from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. It's not going to work. So, all things fair, we're giving it hell. And if we can't make it in, a 50-hour week, we got to bring in assistants to make it in a 50-hour week. And that's how that, in my opinion, works. If you're falling further behind, you're working 50-plus hours a week. So I'm going to build this team. I've also been looking in the history of the subject and educating myself on just business matters. So that's the other final kind of swing, working on the shop, working on the business. I want to be able to build this as the finest little hot rod shop around. One day. Not today, not tomorrow, not next year, but one day. We're going to build that reputation. We're going to build that repertoire. We're going to build that rapport with the general public. That takes time. I'm 3, not quite 4 years into this particular venture. It takes time. We're finally getting roots where at least we're recognized and have some manner of respect. So with that being said, I want to know a little more of the history of hot rodding. It all started out in Pomona and SoCal and so forth. I'm never going to be that guy. I'm never going out there. Too many fucking people, okay? If I could live out in the Tules with a shop 3 acres away from my house on the same land, I'm going to do it. That you have to have a certain reputation for. Otherwise, you just sit in your shop alone, spinning in circles on your fucking shop chair, on your office chair. But we want to get there. So I'm learning the history. Kenny Howard, Von Dutch, the Big Daddy, looking into George Barris's work, looking into the builders that were, and finding some of these cool cars and finding out more about the history, the how and the why. If you find out the how and the why, your rat rods today are as close to any hot rod back in the day. I don't give a fuck what the purists say. These boys were building what they had with what they were building what they could with what they had, and that's cool. That's the spirit, in my opinion, the spirit of traditional grassroots hot rodding. So there you go. That's where we're at. I'm reading texts on business management, marketing, and execution, things like that. I've got to keep one foot on each side of the line. The guy on the floor that's developing skill sets and perfecting skill sets, and the business owner. It's a tough line to toe, because you've got to keep that balance between the two in the shop. And then you've got family outside the shop, and you've got obligations outside the shop. That's kind of where we're at. I'm gonna let you guys at it. We're coming up on Memorial Day, so bow your head, say your prayer, say your thanks, whatever, for those that have gone before us and fallen. I'm not saying bow down to the almighty governmental hand, but at least support the troops that have gone and fallen. Veterans Day, we'll go out and shake some hands, that type of deal. But today is the day to remember those that fell. Tomorrow's the day to remember those that fell. So, anyhow, in your drunken escapades, remember why we're here. I'll talk to y'all later. I'm out of here.